your family killed?
June the 6th, Thursday, I went down there. I had an appointment down there to go meet with a car salesman. I didn't plan on going there and getting a car. I just was going down there to see what information that I had to give them, what would go on to leading to me getting a car from them and stuff like that. So I went in, I talked to the car salesman, Marquise, and it was another salesman. His name was Mr. Whitaker. So it was two salesmen who really helped me out, like when I got my car. So the main guy was Marquise. We sat down at his desk, talked about a few things about how it was gonna go, what kind of car I was looking for, what was I looking to pay for monthly, and just things like that to try to get me into a car. So we continued the conversations, and he asked me how much did I want to put down. I was like, I'll put $1,000 down. If it push come to shove, I'll put down 1,500. I'm just trying to get in the car. I'm trying to go to a dealership, and rather to be led in the right direction, not the wrong direction. Because I'm a first time buyer. This is my first time doing this, so I just want to make sure everything is good and we understand each other. So anyway, I'm talking to the guy Marquise, and we're talking. Like I said, he asked me how much I want to put down. I told him 1,000 or 1,500, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go consult with my other salesman. I'm gonna go let them know and see what we can do." They had to finance it through a bank, which is called Global Lending Services. So, and my car's financed through a bank. So he got me to that point. He was like, well, today you only gonna have to put down $1,000. Can you go to the bank? Can you get this $1,000? I'm like, sure. I can go to the bank and I can get the $1,000. So we drove the new car that I was supposed to get to the bank just to test drive it to see, make sure it was good, how it drove and what it sounded like. We got to the bank. I withdrew the money from the ATM from the bank, and the guy that I was waiting with, which name was Marquise, he had got a phone call. So we walking together, and he was like, "Yeah, such and such." He get off the phone. He's like, "Now they say you got to put down 2,200." He's like, "Is it a way you're gonna be able to go back to the bank and get the other money out that you're supposed to get?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I need to do, you know what I'm saying, to get me a new car. I'm a first time buyer. I'm going with whatever you telling me to go with because I'm trusting you at this point." So I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I don't mind going back to the ATM to get the rest of the money out." So we leave from the bank. We're going back to the dealership. I go across the street to the BB&T that's across the street to the ATM to get the other $200 out. Mr. Marquise was in the building, in the dealership building, but as I was walking up from the ATM, Mr. Whitaker comes out. He comes out, Mr. Marquise come out. He meet me before I get back to the dealership building. He was like, "Well, how much money did you get out? Did you get out the rest of the money?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got out what you told me to get out. You told me to get it out, I got it out." So we counting, he tell me to pull out the money. I pull out my money. He's counting it back and forth, like really trying to really like confuse me. I'm like, you told me I got 2,000 out the bank, then I just got 200 from the BB&T from across the street from the dealership. So I'm like, the money is here, it's here. So we go to my old car, which was my 2014 Ford Focus. I actually traded that car to get my new car as well. So I had put 1,000 down in cash, and I also had put up my old car, which was $2,000. So in all, that was 3,000 towards my new car. So anyway, we go to the old car. He like, "Let's go right here and finish counting the money. Lift up the trunk so I can sit inside the trunk so I can count your money. So I can count your money." I'm like, "Sure, I'm fine." I'm like, "Go ahead, okay. Make sure all the money is there." All the money was there. We counted it over like, I swear, like at least 6 times to make sure that it was added up to be 2,200. So he takes the $1,200, the extra $1,200 that he said that I had to give to him that was going for towards the finance company. I was like, "Cool, you keep the $1,200. He was like, "The other 1,000 that you got out, when you go in the finance office with the manager, let him know you just putting 1,000 down on the car." I was like, cool, that's fine. So when I go in the office, I only tell the man I'm putting 1,000 down. That's what he looking for me to pay 1,000 down. Cool. So it was like the other 1,200 that I got from you, that's not nothing that need to be brought up into the finance office with the finance manager. So I'm not thinking nothing of it. Just going with everything he telling me to do because I'm trying. At this point, I'm trying to get in a car. I stayed there for like 5 hours, adding up to 5 hours because I was on my lunch break or whatever. I work at Walmart and I was on my lunch break, so I said I'm gonna go down here while I'm on my lunch break just to talk to see what it would lead me to of getting a car. Going in the finance office with Mr. Jimmy, I put the $1,000 down and I'm like looking at it, reading over the papers, like seeing my information, seeing what I'm gonna have to pay monthly, seeing what I put down, what they gave me for my trade-in for my car. And I'm just looking over the paperwork and I'm signing. I'm just like, well, yeah, I see the $1,000 up here that I'm giving Mr. Jimmy, but what about the $1,200 I gave when I was in at when I was in the other on the other side and he was talking to me about the cars and stuff. Like I gave Mr. Marquise my $1,200 that he put in his pocket. So me as being a first time buyer, I'm thinking you're gonna put that money towards what my new car, what I'm getting. So I'm just like I said, I'm looking over. So something in my mind was like, ask Mr. Jimmy, the finance manager, about the other $1,200 that you recently gave the salesman in the other room. And Mr. Jimmy was like, he looked at me, he was like, what $1,200 are you talking about? You only paid me $1,000. That's just it. You put down $1,000 payment. The other 1,200 that you got out goes back home with you. So I'm sitting here and I'm standing here and I'm thinking, I get what you're saying, but I don't understand. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. That I already gave an extra $1,200 and I don't see this on my paperwork. So now I'm standing there and I'm thinking, I'm like, where's my $1,200? I only need to see that written on paper that is going towards something. So Mr. Jimmy's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to consult that with the guys, the salesmen that helped you out before me. So I'm like, that's fine. So the two salesmen, which was Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Marquise, Mr. Whitaker was like, I'm gonna need for you to come back. You can step outside out of Mr. Jimmy's office. And Marquise was pulled to the side, like in this little dark room that's like right there, right like when you walk out of the finance manager office, it's like a little room, I guess, so nobody could see what was going on, basically. So I come out of Mr. Jimmy's office and he pulls me to the side and he's like, I thought I told you not to talk about I thought I told you not to talk about the money that we talked about outside and together. I'm like, well, the reason why I brought it up because I'm just trying to figure out where it went. I work at Walmart. I thank God I work at Walmart, but it gotta be it's my money and if y'all don't need it, I need my money back. So I'm just sitting here thinking like, this dude trying to get me, was he really trying to pocket my money and put it in his pocket and not let his finance people and his GM know that he got that other $1,200 from me? And he was just like, pull me to the side. It was like, calm down, because at this point I'm furious, I'm upset, I'm mad. I'm trying to figure out where the other $1,200 went. Don't see it on paper. So in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you're trying to take from me. Like, I'm a first time buyer, not familiar at all with what's going on, but hopefully I came to a dealership so you can lead me in the right direction and not do any wrong to me, but try to help me the best you can so you can get my services. So it's just like, he pulled me to the side and he was like I said, he said, I thought I told you not to talk about what we talked about. And I'm like, that's cool. That was cool until I got in this finance manager office and the $1,200 I gave you out of my head to your head, I don't see that on this paper. Like you said, the bank, you had to call and get the bank to finance. But from my understanding, if I got a bank finance, that means the bank is already paying the dealership for the car and you're going to get that check and you already got your money. I'm paying the bank back. So at this point, the money that I'm giving you that I'm putting down, it helps a lot to me towards my monthly payments. Like, so you're trying to take from me. I need that $1,200 to go towards what I'm still paying for my new car. But instead, you were trying to take that from me until I actually got in the finance manager office and explained what happened and what went on before I got into his office. And he, like I said, Mr. Jimmy, the finance manager, he just was acting confused, like he didn't know what I was talking about. And like I said, he said I had to go consult that with the other two car salesmen that I was dealing with before I went to his office. So that I did. Like I said, they pulled me out of Mr. Jimmy's office, pulled me to the side, told me I wasn't supposed to talk about what we talked about previously in the other room. But then again, he pulled out a guap, like a guap of money, just like this, like a big guap of money. I'm just like, some of it he had separated and some of it was just like in a knot. Like, so I'm just like, was y'all in it together to like take my $1,200 and split it amongst each other? Like, what was you gonna do with the money before I asked? Because if I didn't bring up this conversation, you would have had my $1,200 and you would have split it with each other and you would have never brought it up. But the crazy thing is, I can only imagine how many new time buyers that got or how many elderly people that got, because at the point when you're at a dealership, you're just happy because you're trying to get in the car. Like, I'm about to get a new car. You're not paying attention. You're just happy that, and you're signing. People really don't read things. People just go with what people say and they just sign it. Me, I'm going to read everything because I work hard for my money and that matters. So I'm just like, he gave me the $1,200 back out of his pocket. Like I said, he pulled out a whop of money. And I'm just like, I'm not the only person you have gotten since you've been here. I'm just like, people haven't been paying attention. Like, you don't go back, you don't look through your paperwork, you don't see what's going on. So by the time people get home, they confuse themselves like, well, maybe I just misunderstood what he said, or maybe I just didn't, they're not really paying attention to it. They're not coming back letting people know that they confused on what happened. But I would not leave that dealership without figuring out what happened to my $1,200. I told Mr. Jimmy, which is the finance manager, I told him that I want to talk to the GM of the store. That was June the 6th. And then I had to go back to the dealership June the 7th, which was that Friday, because I had to turn in my old title for my car and I had to give a new bank statement for the dealership, I guess, so they can put it on the record or whatever they had to do with it. So I had to go back then. And when I went back, I didn't talk to Mr. Marquise or I didn't talk to Mr. Whitaker, because at that point, I was furious with him. I didn't want to have anything to do with him. At this point, I'm thinking you was trying to steal from me. You was trying to steal from me, because if I would have brought up the conversation, you would have never gave me my money back. You would have just pocketed and did what you did with the money. Like I said, I went back that Friday. I didn't talk to neither one of the car salesmen. I talked to Mr. Jimmy, and Mr. Jimmy was like, yeah, I heard that you wanted to talk to the GM. But the GM never called me. So I got in touch with you guys like I think the next day, maybe the next day or the day after that, to do a report and to do a review, because the GM never called me. So you guys had emailed me a couple days ago because I had got in touch with you guys, and I had told the girl the story about what happened and what went on, and she told me that she would have been furious to you as the first time buyer, because I'm thinking you're trying to like help me, but you're really trying to hurt me at the same time. And as going to a dealership, that's not a position that anyone is supposed to be in when you're at a dealership. When you're at the dealership, you think you're being there to be taken care of and not have to worry about getting gypped or worry about anybody trying to pocket money they're not supposed to pocket. Like I said, I got in touch with you guys, and then she told me that she was going to write the review. The review had to go to the dealership before it goes to anybody else. So after she sent that in, all of a sudden I get a call from the GM from the store, which is Mr. Shannon Silver. He actually called me today. I actually got the car June the 6th, and today is June the 16th? Or so it took you've been supposed to give me a call the day that I left about the situation, but you didn't call me until today, which is June the 16th. So in my mind, I'm just wondering, are you calling me just because you don't got some information from the people above you to get in touch with me? Or why didn't you call me when the finance manager told me that you was going to call me. You waited a week and a half, almost 2 weeks later to get in touch with me about a situation that was very important. Um, so I talked to the GM, Mr. Silver, today, and he got on the phone and really not want to listen to what I was saying, really calling me a liar, saying before we accuse anybody, it's always three sides to a story. It's your side, his side, and whoever else side. Something he said like that. And he was like, I just need you to come in Thursday at 1 to look at the cameras. I'm like, if I tell you the date and I tell you the time, as a GM, that's something you're supposed to investigate that you can see. If you claim you have cameras like you have, you're supposed to be able to send that dude, meet me coming from the ATM. You're supposed to be able to see him counting the money in the trunk. If you said you got cameras outside and the inside, you're supposed to see him pulling me to the side to give me the money in the inside. Like, you're supposed to be doing all that. But the general manager, he was like, gave me a vibe like, you're lying, I don't believe you. Before I accuse my associates, you know what I'm saying, I really got to know. I'm like, sir, I wouldn't bring this to corporate, or I wouldn't have made a whole big deal out of this if this really did happen to me. Like, the dude that took care of me, Mr. Marquise, he actually supposed to be a pastor. Like, he told me he was a pastor. He told me he's a pastor. I know him because he used to work at my job with me like maybe a year ago, but he got terminated and he didn't work there anymore. So he worked at the car dealership. He's been working there for a while. Matter of fact, he just got back 2 years. He was off 2 years and then he came back this year. So I know the guy. I used to think a lot of people used to tell me about him like he's not really, good people. He don't do what he's supposed to do. But as me being my own person, I like to know people before I can be able to judge or accuse somebody of anything. So I took upon that and went down there, tried to do the deal with him, and that's how you end up doing me, taking my $1,200. Even though you ended up giving the $1,200 back to me, if I would have never bought the situation up, or if I would have walked out of there with missing $1,200, and when I came back the next day, you would act like you didn't even know what happened to it if I wouldn't have said anything about it. My thing is his GM manager is trying to make it seem like I'm making this story up or I'm lying. I'm like, sir, if you got cameras, you can see us walking, you can see us counting money, you can see us moving around, you can see us doing all that in there. And then I actually got text messages from the salesman who helped get me the car. And I got text messages from the finance manager telling me the day I left the dealership, which was June the 6th, Thursday, the GM manager wasn't there, but Jimmy and Marquise was there, and they kept mentioning, it was like, well, don't tell the bank. When you talk to the bank, they want to give you a welcome call. When you talk to the bank, don't let them know about the other $1,200 that got missing, that accidentally came back up because you asked for it. Don't mention it. My thing is, why don't you want me to mention that to the bank if everything went how it's supposed to went? If everything went good how it's supposed to go, you wouldn't mind me mentioning that $1,200 I gave that car salesman. Like, I feel that they didn't want me to tell the finance company because it was going to cause a confusion and it was going to mess up and get them in trouble because the bank pays for the car already. Like, I'm paying the bank back. So, I mean, the bank got to pay the car dealership. So, Mr. Jenny sent me a message. She was like, please, when you get the welcome call, when you talk to the finance people, please don't let them know about the $1,200 that was missing. I still have that message on my phone. When I left the dealership June the 6th, Thursday, the Marquise dude who actually took my money and gave it back to me, he, after I left and made the deal with the car, I drove the car home. He gave me a call as soon as I left the dealership, and he was like, I hope you don't think I was trying to get you, but I was just doing what my salesman manager told me to do. I guess he was saying his sales managers was telling him to get the extra $1,200 so they could come amongst each other and I guess split it or do whatever they needed to do. And I was just like, I really trusted you and you really got good talk. Like, car dealership people, oh man, their game of talking is amazing. Anything you come out their mouth, you will believe what they're saying because that's what they're used to doing. So like I told him, I said, I trusted you, and then I got you caught up in a lie, and now you trying to act like, you wasn't trying to jip me or you wasn't trying to get me when in reality, it really was gonna get me if I let it fly by. Like I said, I told him, I was like, I didn't appreciate it. When I come back to the dealership and deal with for my car, I don't want to deal with you two. I want to deal with other people who didn't even help me. Like I want to deal with somebody else. I don't want to deal with you two. Um, I talked to Mr. Jimmy and he claimed that the dude had got written up. But when I went back last week to get my brakes checked, because they were squealing, I went back to get my brakes checked. And the dude who helped me, who took my $1,200 was still there. I'm like, well, you saying he got wrote up and he got punished for what he did, but that's to me, that's not enough. That's not enough to me. He's still in here working, he's still getting paid, meaning he still can do the same thing again because you guys is not you really don't care. It's like you telling me you care, but you really don't care. What I think God done was they really didn't think that I was gonna go this far. They really didn't think that I was gonna go to corporate. They really didn't think I was gonna tell. They thought I was gonna let it just fly by. And then the GM, when I talked to him this morning, he was like, well, it doesn't matter about corporate. Corporate has nothing to do with what I do at my shop in GM. Nothing they say to me can change what I do in my shop. I said, well, obviously it do if it made you call me because before corporate got in touch with you, you didn't even call me. You didn't do anything. It's like you wasn't concerned until a higher person above you has got the message. But anyway, like I said, he called me and he was like, really basically letting me know that he didn't believe me and he wanted me to come in this Thursday, and look at the cameras with him and stuff like that. He wanted to get my side of the story. He said he heard their side of the story and it's not equal. Like somebody is lying. So I'm like, so basically you telling me if you don't believe what I'm saying, you basically telling me I'm lying. I'm telling a story. Like they didn't take my money, which in reality, they did take my money. And it took me to say something to the finance manager before they gave me my money back. Me thinking that $1,200 was going towards the other money that I already had put down, when in reality, it wasn't going towards nothing. You was going to put it in your pocket and you was going to spend it. Yeah, I really am. My main thing was I just didn't like being a first time buyer, being there and getting treated the way I did get treated. And it would have never got brought up if I wouldn't have took it this far. That's just my main thing. I don't think nothing is being done. They just brushing it off. And my advice for other people is pay attention to when you go to a dealership. Like, make sure you read your papers. Make sure you understand what they're telling you before you actually give somebody your money. And because June the 6th, Thursday, I would have got gypped out of my money, even though I got it back. But I had to go through a lot just to get it back. And I just didn't. My main thing was I wanted them to get what they deserve for it because it wasn't right. That's all.